Michael, thanks very much for that, and we do. We do very much appreciate the passion and the...
I ain't got much else there.
and you personally certainly came through that. Look, we've got plenty of time for questions. Can I kick one off in terms of your working relationship with your bosses? Because
oh dear.
Because I think what fascinates us from a distance is, and I mean this in no way to be critical, but the concept of a rogue journalist, right? Someone who is deeply believing in their work and trying to get the truth out. And yet you do have a corporate empire sitting above you. You are responsible ultimately at the end of the day. Someone's paying the bills. But how did you actually work on the ground in terms of the day-to-day operational relationship you had with the bosses in New York and so on? How did you get the stories out? Were there particular directives you were given?
Oh, yeah. There's a whole memoir on this that I'm too bored to write. I took my jacket off. I really need a cigarette for this conversation. I stand before you as a University of Queensland graduate who's currently unemployed. My last employment was with two American networks, CNN USA and CNN International. We had a little disagreement. As in all things with business and certainly the media, it won't be permanent. But apparently my PTSD became inconvenient. So I am now in Brisbane. Like so many of the soldiers coming home, I'm before the family courts. So I'm trudging through, family matters here that require my urgent and diligent attention for quite some time. Hence, writing the press release in my head as I speak. I am the founder and owner of Australia's most exciting new media company. For non-Catholics in the room, I apologise. The name of the company is Penance Film and TV. So I sure as hell feel like I'm serving mine. We're currently 4 months into production. Into take a wild guess, an Iraq documentary scheduled for US cinema release in 2012. Inshallah. We're shooting to have the premiere at the Sundance Film Festival in the beginning of next year, but we'll see how we go. I'm also in final negotiations with Channel 7. God, forgive me. But only in a part-time role. Directors, filmmakers, we can't go gallivanting about. To answer your question, although that does give it some highlight, I have been blessed in this career. I didn't want to be a journalist. I thought I wanted to be a criminal attorney defending the downtrodden, which I can trace directly back to a night in 1983 when I watched Al Pacino in And Justice for All. When I'm next in New York, I'm going to deck Al Pacino. I fell into journalism. Having completed my associateship with Justice Fitzgerald, I was going backpacking. I didn't know what the hell else to do with myself. And I was always drawn to Indochina. So I was off to Vietnam and then Cambodia at the time when poor old Peter Wilson got done in. First time I ever smoked a cigarette was in Vietnam. Turns out I thought there'd be a well-trodden tourist track to the scene of the Battle of Long Tan. Anyone heard of that? Guess there's not. Certainly there wasn't back in 1993 when Duc Moi was just, finding its feet. So I hired a translator, a car, and just pushed off in the general direction. Phuoc Thi province, let's go. They didn't even know where it was. So we just kept asking and asking and asking. We finally get to a fork in the road. There's an old farmer. He goes, yeah, Long Can's just around the corner. Little ville, you won't miss it. Couple of thatched huts, a little military, one building place. He goes, yeah, you won't miss it. They've got a checkpoint there waiting for you. They thought I was a spy. For goodness sakes. Anyway, I was going backpacking. Ended up at the Courier Mail. I ended up having a job at the Courier Mail that did not exist before I arrived, and once I left, it ceased to exist. Time magazine, despite its reputation, and I do love it, it's a journalistic nirvana, trust me, if you know how to play it. They don't know how to report a story, they certainly don't know how to break news, and they don't like to travel. Sort of at odds with the concept, but anyway. In Sydney, they thought crossing Sydney Harbour was an overseas assignment. So when I got the job in 2000, I spent their travel budget in 3 months. But God, it was fun. So then I left Sydney and off I went to Afghanistan. I became Kabul Bureau Chief for the main mag. I then went on to become Baghdad Bureau Chief for the main mag. Again, Time magazine, I was very lucky. I guess it all comes down, it's like the nature of business, isn't it? Or the nature of life, or the nature of sporting success, making the A-grade team. Publish or perish. Runs on the board, people. Isn't that what it's about? For better or for worse? Depending on how we value those runs on the board, depending upon what mental midgets oversee us. But I was given a very rare brief that, he can tell I'm wandering. He gave me a very rare brief. I had funding like you wouldn't believe to go and do whatever I wanted from Time Magazine and CNN. It was a privilege and an honour to be able to spend their money in that way and to have their trust to do that. They trusted me to do things that, just were inconceivable beforehand. Quick example before I hand it back. When I joined CNN in Baghdad from Time Magazine, CNN, the news agenda in war zones is now dominated by the security companies or the mercenaries. Mercenary is not a bad word in my view. It's a man at arms for sale. But we call them corporate security. Every network, every major newspaper has these people living in. They dictate, no, it's too dangerous to go there. It's too dangerous to go there. Can't go there. That limits what you can report. When I went to CNN, all the networks offered me a job, and I said, one of the conditions is I'm not beholden to your various security companies. To their credit, Fox News, CBS, NBC, ABC, CNN all went fine. So while everyone else had to run around in armoured Humvee, in armoured Mercedes and this and that, I could jump in a local car with my local boys and we could just disappear into the Badlands. That took a lot of guts and that took a lot of faith from the executives who did that. And I think it created a kind of journalism that emerged from that war that was unrivaled. And I've got to thank them for that. And I'm always in their debt for that. Mind you, I pissed them all off by the end.